Okay, folks, so thank you for joining me. I've been promising that I would get Greg Terry to talk about what's happening on the front line because I'm not an expert. He's actually physically running the front lines, dropping aid and that sort of thing. And so as I'm looking at the news, I'm looking at Pokrovsk, and Pokrovsk is, well, from what I can see from the outside looking in, there were reports that two major highways on either side had been cut off. And so I was saying, okay, well, let's talk to Greg, get his inside view. Greg, thanks for joining us. I know that both with time and with, I'm sure, exhaustion as you're doing what you're doing, this is a tricky thing, but thank you for being here.
It's my pleasure and my honor, Professor. I consider you my partner, and we work together on this, and very grateful for you and your community. So let's just jump right in. I can tell you I'm in the Donetsk Oblast. That doesn't give any operational security. But over the last 24 hours or so, I was traveling and coming down the key highway that connects Dnipro to Pavlograd and comes into Pokrovsk. And we traveled as far as physically allowed by the Ukrainian military. We got very close to Pokrovsk, and I've been talking to soldiers, and from there we rerouted over to the other sections of the Donetsk Oblast where we're at right now. But I was able to get the latest information, and in fact, over the last 48 to 72 hours, there's been a lot of talk about Pokrovsk and those key highways that you're referring to. And when you guys look at maps, or if you're looking at YouTubers or others that share maps, like a Johnny Pierce or myself, always make sure that you're getting the source from more than one source. Johnny does a great job of that. I try to do a great job of that as well. So, for example, if you follow the Institute of Study of War, they're showing that there's three paved highways coming in and through Pokrovsk, and they're showing that two of the three are occupied by Russians, and the third one, which is the road I was on coming in from Dnipro, is not yet. I can confirm that's 100% a fact. 100%. I have met with two groups of soldiers today, and I asked them point blank, knowing that you and I would be talking. I said,
Mhm.
guys, can I share the reality? They said, yeah. Deep State is delaying a couple of days on their movements because of new agreements they really made with Ukrainian defense, to not overshoot or put too much information out there because it's Ukrainian. So I can confirm to you that Pokrovsk right now and Mirnograd, um, the road between Pokrovsk and Konstantynivka has a curve in it. And this is the curve I have talked about for 6 months.
Mhm.
Russia 100% has that interchange. They have about a 200-meter section of that road. There are battles there right now because it's the most important junction between Pokrovsk, Mirnograd, and Konstantinivka, and unfortunately, it is now cut. Now, does that make a huge difference? Well, physically, yes, but technically, no, because the logistic routes were basically cut already due to Russia being so close and
Mhm.
drones and artillery. But physically, now they have it. Now, if you look at the map of Pokrovsk and you look west back toward Dnipro and Zaporizhia, there is a main road that goes up, the road I was on, that goes to Pavlograd and then Dnipro. That road is clear. Ukraine controls it 100%. Ukraine controls Pokrovsk 100%. Ukraine controls Mirnograd 100%. That road, good. But there is a road that comes out to the southwest that,
Mhm.
unfortunately, toward the village of Udachny, Russia has taken that road. And preparing for our video tonight and our update on the map, I asked some guys here to confirm it for me. Not that Russia had taken the road, but how much. And I was not too happy with what I heard, but Russia now controls four
Oh,
kilometers.
wow.
4 kilometers,
So
not
that's not
200
a
meters.
little slice that they can push back, but they have a wow.
No, no, they have 4 kilometers controlled, and they are pushing towards Udachny, which, very interesting, pushes them towards the Dnepropetrovsk Oblast, gets them closer to that line. But
Yeah.
unfortunately, it's really cutting that flank as Russia is flanking that. And I'll just say this, if you're wondering how far the Russian troops are from the main highway coming in from Pokrovsk,
Mhm.
4.8 kilometers.
Okay, so answer this for me. Are they trying to reach out to the Donetsk Oblast border? Or are they trying to encircle, or maybe they're doing both?
Well, so they're in the Donetsk Oblast. They're pushing towards the Dnipropetrovsk
Well,
Oblast.
I know to the end, to complete the border is what I'm
Yes,
saying.
absolutely. They're trying to get to the end. So they are right now pushing unbelievably westward. They're
Yeah.
pushing westward to take the village of Udachny. And once Udachny is taken, and that's the larger town,
Mhm.
larger village. There's one last village called Molodetsky, and that is the border village on the Dnipropetrovsk Oblast. Unfortunately, in the past, Russia has flanked on a north or a south flank or east or a west, and then they just hold it and just wreak havoc on
Mhm.
cities or towns like they did in Karakova. And then finally, they took
Sure.
Karakova. But this time, whether it's due to the supply of Ukrainians, weariness, mass of Russian troops, and I can tell you today, speaking with a soldier, and he told me, he says, listen, if we eliminate 200 invaders pushing on Pokrovsk, tomorrow there are 200 new. They
Mhm.
just keep coming
Yeah,
at us.
sure.
So right now, this flanking operation around Pokrovsk in Mirnograd is having some success in that two of the three main logistical roads are cut.
Okay, so that's a legit thing. What I saw on the news is you can 100% confirm.
Oh, 100% confirmed, multiple sources.
Okay, tell me about Toretsk.
Toretsk is gone. Um, I asked about that tonight. We still have some Ukrainian soldiers in certain positions there. If you've been watching the news or keeping up with different social feeds, you've heard about them in the mining center. They're still left in the little mining area, the factory area there in Toretsk. And I can tell you that is accurate. Um, but for the most part, in general, 90% plus
Wow.
confirming tonight. Toretsk is under Russian control. There are still some outskirt battles going on. Ukraine is not giving it up. It is not 100%
Sure, they're
fallen,
making them
but
pay for it along the way. They'll get it.
they're
Okay.
making
So,
them pay for it.
what other hotspots should we be, paying attention to?
Well, let's stay on this south side. So if you look at the map, we talked about Toretsk. The problem with Toretsk, Prof, is once they completely get through Toretsk, there's just two or three villages that come up a river bottom,
Mhm,
and they are on again the paved highway, the same paved highway we're talking about from Pokrovsk and Mirnograd.
mhm,
And that paved highway, when you pop out of that field, you literally are in the city of Konstantinivka.
mhm.
Konstantinivka comes to that main highway and stops. That's the edge of it. So that's what they're going to be pushing on. I can tell you also, this is very interesting. A couple of days ago, I was in the city of Zaporizhia. I can tell you now, no problem. And I'm at the Oko. And when I'm at the Oko, this lady with red hair working there, this is just an interesting story. She looks at me, she goes, Greg, I remembered her. She remembered me. She worked and lived in Konstantinivka. And she worked at the famous Oko where President Zelensky would go. In fact, his flag was hanging there signed. We worked and based there so many times, get to know these people. And I said, what are you doing here? She goes, I had to move to Zaporizhia. That Oko is now gone. And
Oh,
that is
wow.
right on the southern side of Konstantinivka. So just to confirm, even
Yeah.
though they're not pushing on it, the artillery and the
Yeah.
shelling and the drone activity. So the last place on the south, basically due south of Pokrovsk, we just people you need to remember this name because right now it's going to be coming up in the news a little bit more tonight in the news here in just inside Ukraine. It's there, and the town is Velika Novosilka. Velika Novosilka. This has been a fortress city for Ukraine for 10 years. It is not a big city as Karakova, but it's thousands. And it's
Mhm,
been a logistical and a fortress little town for Ukraine. Unfortunately, now we're starting to once again get another pinch on it.
mhm.
And Russia has taken the paved highway above the Ukrainian soldiers. So right now, Ukraine is trying to scramble, save their guys, get them
Yeah.
out. They still say they have time, they have opportunity, they have access, but it's not on the paved highway. And when I talk about the weather, we had such a difficult time today driving. It was icy and windy. then it would rain, and then it would snow, and our truck was sliding all over the road and the mud. We were delivering some aid over here, not far from where I'm at now, and we're walking, and the mud is up to our ankles. It's just
Yikes.
very difficult right now.
Well,
So
I mean, so
those are the southern points.
that should slow the tempo down, but that doesn't seem to be slowing the tempo down at all. Like when you
Well,
look at casualty figures and things destroyed and that sort of thing, it seems like the pace has been continuing to ramp up. Like when you look at number of casualties in January, it's two on average less than in December. Like two, one, two. So it's still
I can tell you
1,500 and
why.
change.
I can
I
tell you
thought it
why.
would have slowed by now. Like
No, I can tell you why.
drones.
You're seeing a serious meat grinder operation, and I'm glad you asked that question. Tonight in Ukraine, and I'm getting ready to go to sleep, it is horrible weather. It is low clouds. It's foggy. It's misty. It's snowy. It's icy. So, what doesn't work in that weather? Reconnaissance drones. The Mavic 3Ts don't work. The thermal imaging doesn't work. And these are the nights. And as we were talking to soldiers, they were telling me, Greg, tonight will be hell because our guys will be blind. The Russians will storm. We will kill a lot of them, but they will wreak havoc on us tonight. So these are why the numbers are high, even in bad weather,
Yeah,
because the Russian meat grinder, they literally storm in this type of weather. So
yeah,
that is why you say, okay, well, it's muddy, you can't move. They coming. But the death rate, the numbers, extremely high.
yeah.
Extremely high.
Okay, tell me about what's going on in Kursk.
Kursk Oblast. I will tell you this: the last inside Ukraine is Kupiansk. Uh, Ukraine is finally holding Kupiansk. We
Hmm.
have basically stabilized Kupiansk, which is very important. It is a key logistical city north and east of Izum, which is north, basically straight up from Slavyansk and Kramatorsk and over to the east a little bit. Now, finally, your last question about Kursk.
Hmm.
Ukraine holding, it's vitally important that Ukraine holds. You will see reports where Russia's taking back a little bit from the Ukrainian offensive, and then you'll see reports that Ukraine is taking this new village in that offensive in the Kursk
But they're in
Oblast.
different
And
places,
they are. But
right?
what we're doing right now is Ukraine made that push about 8 kilometers on that surprise second kind of minor push offensive from this major Kursk invasion. Um, got good territory, good ground logistically, but of course, Russia counterattacks. They'll take a village back. Ukraine takes another village. So, in general, the square kilometer, what Ukraine is holding is staying about the same after this little push. So it is a positive. And right now, you're there in the U.S. You're seeing all of the news with the transition, with the inauguration of Donald Trump coming up next week, and everybody's wondering what's going to happen. The best thing Ukraine can do right now is
Hold
be
Kursk.
strong,
Take more Kursk.
be rock solid.
You could
And
almost give up much of a I'm not saying they should do this, but almost give up much of one of the four oblasts and
mhm,
just take more Kursk, and that would be a net benefit for any peace kind of
huge.
negotiation because they already claim these four oblasts. I'm not saying that they should or that they want to give up people. I'm just saying, like, thinking strategically,
Mhm.
more ground in Russia is going to be more valuable for that sort of thing. So,
Well, it is public information. This is not operational security. It's public information that over this 5 month invasion of Kursk, that Ukraine has rotated some of their troops to help in that offensive, knowing that the time was coming like this where it would be vitally important. That leads to some of the struggles that we have down south, and
mhm,
Ukraine trying to stabilize that, but at the same time keep the pressure on Kursk.
yeah.
And as we close this out, I can just tell you, one room over from me, all these soldiers are all around me. They're just not on the video right now. All right. I asked the guys tonight having a cup of tea. I said, what is the best thing you can do right now with what you're seeing in the EU, the transition of power in the United States, Putin meeting Iran, Trump calling Xi Jinping, all of these things. I said, and they know all the news, man, all of
Mhm.
it. I said, what's the best thing you can do right now? He said, be strong. Show
Yeah.
the world we're strong. We just need your help. We'll win. So it's the same story, and that's why Kursk is so, so important for Ukraine. It was the best move they ever made, to be honest. The
Yeah,
best
yeah, no,
move.
at first I was like, "What?" And then I realized, like, yeah, that's right. They're showing that it felt like the balance of, not balance of power, that's the wrong word. The center of gravity shifted when they invaded into Kursk. It just changed the dynamics pretty radically. So,
They put a massive chink in the armor and the facade of
yeah,
Vladimir Putin. That's what they did. And now they're just chinking it away, showing what a good military that is trained and properly operating against a much larger opposition can do. And it was I'm like you. When it first happened the first 3 or 4 days, I was calling Ukraine going, what the heck are y'all doing? And then it was like, trust us, trust
mhm,
us. And if you remember, this was the operation where Zelensky said the reason we're having so much success is because nobody opened their mouth on this one.
yeah,
Loose lips didn't sink our ship. And
yeah,
it was really, really good. So
yeah.
I can tell you this as well. I'm with soldiers nonstop now. The morale is good.
Well,
The
that's good to know
the weariness,
because it wasn't just a few months back.
no, no, no. It's because of Kursk, man. It's because of Kursk. But on the flip side, I'm telling you the 100% truth. The morale's good. The weariness is massive.
Oh, I can
It
imagine.
it's significant.
I'm
Very
weary just
significant.
telling a story. I can't imagine what it's like, actually having to be there, having to constantly defend and yeah. Okay. Well, Greg, thank you so much. I
Thank you,
appreciate
Prof.
your time and the effort and being able to get it like firsthand information while you're there. Thank you, and I'm looking forward to seeing those videos about the 54th that are coming forward. So, and folks, if
It's
you're not
coming.
aware of who Greg Terry is, go to @GregTerryExperience if you want to see his channel and the things that he's updating regularly. He spends a lot of time each year in Ukraine, and he's there right now. All right. Any final words, Greg?
Just thank you, Prof. Thank you to all of your community, and I can just tell you guys, the soldiers are grateful. So that's what I leave you with. And it's like, you're talking about the aid drop and that we were doing. Yeah, you saw that video and all of this. And the soldiers were always telling us, thank you, thank you, thank you to all the people. And I said, guys, you're allowed to say it one time. You're allowed to say it one time. We are saying thank you for
Hmm.
what you're fighting for. I'll tell you this, guys, wherever you're watching from tonight, whether you're in the US or around the world, I want you to think about one thing. On my live stream a couple nights ago with Dennis from the 28th, he's a commander from the 28th Brigade. I asked him, I said, Dennis, when's the last time you saw your wife and children? It was September.
Oh,
It was
wow.
September. And before that, it was 6 months before that. Here's what's painful about it: his wife and children live 5 hours from his position, 5 hours away, and has seen them the last time in September. And I can tell you this as well, how real this is for people. And like that Dennis example, and I'm telling your community, thank you. The reason he got immediately in the war and is now a commander in the 28th Brigade is his mother was killed by a Russian missile.
Wow.
And these people, these heroes, are not going to give up. And they say thank you, but we say thank you to them. And we appreciate all of you guys. But stick with us. The best is yet to come. We believe that. We're fighting for victory. And with all of the world standing together, working together, and hopefully nations come into line and assist with their governmental side, the best is yet to come. So thank you,
All
Prof.
right. Well,
Thank
thank
you.
you, Greg, and thank you to all the viewers. Thank you for the time and the likes and the shares and the subscribes. Thank you for being the kind of people that care about Ukraine.